Hi, my name is Lori Bremner. I'm an Organizing and Engagement Manager with the Tobacco Endgame Center for Organizing and Engagement, which is a statewide project of the American Heart Association. I'm here with Amber Wier, who's the project director for NorCal for Health, which is a project of the California Health Collaborative, and her son, Marcus Wier, as they share a tactic that they use to engage rural youth with great success. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really happy to talk about this really cool project that you did to reach a community that sometimes is less engaged than others. And although this community was youth in a 4-county area, Del Norte, Mendocino, Lake, and Humboldt, this technique could be used to engage any type of adult community as well. So tell me a little bit about what the project was, what your goal was, and then we'll get into the tactic that you used.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for the introduction and having us here. This year, we were working on a project called Born to Breathe. It's a youth media festival where they share through mediums such as poetry, videos, music, art, sculptures, about their perspective on tobacco. And the training this year, we did a little differently. Last year, we offered a Zoom with our 4-county region, trying to get youth to participate and learn about the predatory marketing that big tobacco has in our rural communities. We reached out to all 4 counties, all the high schools, and we only ended up with 6 participants. So we knew we had to do something a little different this year. So we tried things a little differently. We did a youth video led with my son, Marcus, and myself. We ended up bantering back and forth to hopefully be humorous.
My name is Amber Wier, and I'm here with my son, Marcus Wier.
Greetings.
I can tell you're very excited to be here with me, son.
Oh boy, am I.
We ended up doing a training with just little short snippets of education, about a minute to 2 minutes, and then it would be like a Google form quiz, and they would have to answer something out of those 1 to 2 minutes to get to the next video. So I think we had about 6 little short videos with 2 to 3 questions in between each of those that kids could take at their own pace. And so it wasn't an event that they had to come to on time at this specific moment. It was a QR code that led them to an online training that allowed them to take it at their own pace. And then at the end of the training, they would get a $20 gift certificate to Starbucks or a local coffee house. I mean, this is all homegrown. We recorded a Zoom similar to like what we're doing here today and edited that, added it into our Google Forms. And then with the analytics there, you can see how far people get. And I think we only had 2 that didn't complete the whole thing. So it was really, for our first go at it, I was really pleased. And we ended up having 51 participants. So this was helpful in trying to cover the range that we have in educating.
When somebody started, they had to stay until the end to hear how Marcus finished it all up. Did he stick with it, or did he get bored and walk away? Or Marcus, what did you feel? What did you think about using video to connect to others?
I think that video is a really good way of being able to educate people because it provides a way of educating someone through an entertaining way. And
I like that it was grassrootsy, that it was it wasn't fancy. It wasn't done with production or anything. It was just you 2 bantering, and then the questions, and then on to the next section. What did you hear from youth about how they liked it, or is it just do the numbers tell the story since you got 51 participants versus 6 last year? Did you get any feedback?
They thought it was entertaining. They thought the banter between myself and Marcus, my son's dry humor, was especially fun compared to other trainings that they participated in.
You could do a podcast or even a song.
I love singing songs.
Oh, I bet you'd be great at that.
Public Health has a youth coalition that I've done trainings with in the past, and their response was that this was much better. So that's where the short little snippets and then a quiz kind of happened. Plus all the trainings that we've attended about marketing and media. I mean, everyone's telling you, no more than 2 minutes on a video. People lose interest really fast. It's a TikTok nation.
In your opinion, are there other components of this tactic that made it so successful?
What do you think, Marcus? You saw the first video and then you saw the second video. Why do you think it was better?
I feel like the first video was just someone sitting there and talking about information can be very boring. So I feel like the second video was a lot better just because, there were lots of jokes and stuff like that.
It might be more fun to listen to a youth speak to another youth than an adult 40-something-year-old trying to spark some interest. So I think that the youth have a big part in leading, knowing your audience, right? And in trying to apply this in other target populations, we want to hear from our own, I think, a lot of times. So, in fact, after we went through the Born to Breathe Youth Media Festival, they went through the training, they submitted a piece. At the end, some of the kids from Storm were suggesting, like, maybe they'll do the next training next year for us, just the kids themselves. So I think that was a really positive feedback.
And as you were saying, you want to hear from somebody who you relate to. So if you're trying to reach rural adults, don't have the presenter be talking about their experiences in Los Angeles or in San Francisco. You want it definitely to be someone who faces the same challenges that you face.
Right. Yeah. Especially in rural. I mean, that's what we've come up against time and time again when we look at marketing and educational materials. We do a lot of that ourselves because we're trying to reach our population, and they really resist when they think that messaging doesn't apply to them, that's some big city folk somewhere else, not us.
How did you promote the program?
We promoted the program through our partners. So we have some competitive grantees, CTCP funded projects that have connections. We have our LLAs, our public health partners in all 4 counties, and we have a really good relationship with all of these folks. We all have our email lists and can send it out that way through the 2 Bay programs as well. And then we also reached out to all of the school districts. And this was a big learning curve for us this year because, like, Del Norte County has 1 school district that covers all the schools. Humboldt County has like 30 school districts. So there's a lot of contacts that we had to reach out to get approval for the project, the training, so that they would share that flyer with their students. Some schools wanted to share it digitally. They emailed it to all of their students. And other schools said the best way was to put a poster up on the wall. And I spoke to the kids, where do you get your information the most? And a lot of them were saying on a morning announcements, like a video announcements, which is, for next year, we're going to try to get a hold of those teachers to try to get into those. They said the bulletin boards have posters on them all the time. So they just kind of like, they don't even look at it anymore. It's the same thing. So when you do a great big, an oversized poster, seemed to really work for us this year. We also reached out one-on-one to a couple key teachers that we were told were really helpful with their students to try to engage them and help them along with the process.
And on those big posters, was there an email address or a website, or how did they then go from seeing the poster to participating?
We did a big poster for the entire event, Born to Breathe. And the first step in that event was this training where they could earn $20. And a QR code is so every phone could just scan it and go straight to it, and they could do it on their cell phones. Tried to make it as easy as possible for them.
Got it. And you mentioned earlier that the kids were saying maybe they would want to do the training themselves next year.
Yeah, so having youth-led training, I think, is going to be a big component. In their application to the actual event itself, when they submit a piece for the Born to Breathe Festival, we were looking at now making that through Google Forms for them to fill out versus having to print out a application. A lot of students don't have access to printing, which, is kind of a surprise to me. So being able to have it all, right there with their cell phones would be really helpful. But the teachers will really be able to connect their youth. In fact, I think, Marcus, do you want to talk about what your teachers said they were going to do once they saw the flyer with this training?
So, yeah, basically, I was told it would only be shared among high schoolers, but when I went to my middle school, I saw the poster on the wall, and the teacher goes up to me and she literally tells me, "Hey, Marcus, would you like to present your anti-tobacco campaign in front of the class?" And it was very mortifying, but at least that showed me that it was going around a lot and that people were actually paying attention to it. And so I think that mostly vaping in a lot of kids' minds is just like a thing that happens. Like, I personally don't do it, but those people over there do it, and then that's all that happens in their brain. But I feel like the anti-tobacco thing really opens up people's mind to know, hey, wait a minute, if these people are doing it, then that means they could get more other people to do it because of how addicting it is. So I feel like even just spreading it to people, and even if they don't participate, it does at least educate them somewhat on what they're really dealing with.
So I think creating content for people that isn't intimidating, that sounds like their own language, has been a real success with our project. Sometimes being in this industry, we can get real nerdy in the way that we talk about and all of our acronyms and everything. So I think taking a step back and just trying to have a real conversation, a casual conversation, really reaches folks, and we're a lot more approachable in those educational moments.
I do think that there's a small point that I'd like to make just about how easy these kinds of, well, they're not exactly all too easy, but just how simple making a video like this could be. And if you just include someone of youth to educate other people of youth, it can be very effective.
Amber and Marcus, thank you so much for talking to us today about this very successful tactic that you use to engage the community. I know I learned a lot, and I hope that our listeners have too. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.